Come and listen on
Don't be afraid to catch feels.
Relax Radio.
The Chat Trap.
Very good evening to you and welcome back to the show. This is of course the Chat Trap on Relax Radio. How are you doing? How is your day going so far? I am Jamie and I am going to be with you for a couple more hours actually talking about a lot of interesting things. And I definitely want to know what you're thinking. I want to know your opinions. I want to know your input. Go right ahead. If you're at home and you're, chilling, be a part of the conversation today. We're going to be talking about a lot of interesting things. Very specifically, we're going to be talking about dating apps. Okay, now this is something that I have had a question with regards to for a long time, and I thought it's good to maybe discuss that with you and explore that with you together within the next couple hours. Make sure that you keep it right here on Relax Radio. Make sure that you be a part of the show, like I told you. If you want to see what happens behind the scenes, if you want to see what happens behind the scenes, all you gotta do is go check us out on our social media. That is Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Now we go at Relax Radio, and we are making sure that you are as entertained as possible. So go show us some love on our social media. Any love that you can show us is so greatly appreciated. So go show us some love. Download our app so that you can use us wherever that you go. It's available absolutely free of charge on iOS and Android. So make sure that you download our app as well. And with that being said, like I always say, I feel like I say this a lot of times, but at the end of the day, what's most important to me is you. There's absolutely nothing more important than you. I am trying my best to give you some conversation that can add value to your life. Now, if you feel like there's something particular you want me to research and explore and discuss about, if there's some specific topic that you want to share with me that you want to discuss and talk about, please feel free to contact me by either commenting down below or by calling us on 07852473473, or very simply you can head on over to our social media platforms and drop us an inbox message and let us know what is going on. Now, with that being said, let's get into the actual story though. Dating apps. What is happening with dating apps? What's the secret or what's the dark side of dating apps? It's not something I feel like it's not something we discuss dating apps quite a lot, but we don't necessarily weigh the pros and cons just because it's something that everybody does, right? And it's just something that's like trendy, and it's just something I feel like is a necessity right now, especially with like COVID-19 and stuff. Dating apps have definitely come to our rescue. But what I want to do within the next couple minutes, like I told you before, is to kind of weigh in the pros and cons and to see if dating apps as a whole is good or bad. Now, this is definitely a very, I would say, subjective topic. This is a very, very subjective topic, and I want to know your opinion. Like I said, I'm going to be sharing you my side of the story. I'm going to be sharing with you, articles and research that I have come up with by reading a couple of websites and books and verified sources or whatnot. So I'm going to be sharing with you a bunch of information, but feel free to tune in and let me know your personal experiences with dating apps. I myself do use dating apps, and I feel I definitely have a lot of personal experiences, both traumatic and not so bad either. I want to know what your personal experiences are like, if you're okay to share with everybody listening in, because it can help somebody else as well. Now, with that being said, I feel like before the pandemic, before this whole coronavirus situation, dating apps were definitely popular. Everybody knew about Tinder, everybody knew about Bumble and Grindr and whatnot, right? But I feel like forced isolation or travel restrictions and lockdown kind of caused all of these dating apps to blow up. It caused these dating apps to boom. And Tinder actually happens to be the most downloaded dating app in the world, and it hit 3 billion swipes in a single day. Okay, that's 3 billion swipes, not in a week, but in a single day during March 2020. And this record was actually broken 100 times more with the app within the next couple months preceding March. Now, although these apps have definitely helped, okay, I'm not going to deny it. Being a person uh, that uses dating apps, I feel like dating apps have helped a lot of us. Dating apps have helped us to connect with people, to meet with people, with other single people for years. It helps us to form social circles. More importantly, it helps us to form connections, which is kind of hard to do in today's day and age. And dating apps have definitely come through in that aspect. But I want to talk about the dark side of dating apps. I want to talk about the side that is not commonly spoken of. And I know it can be controversial, and I know it can be like, it can be something that you don't necessarily agree with, which is fine. You don't have to agree with everything I say. But I just thought it's important to share with you this opinion as well. Now, first of all, I feel like a lot of people using dating apps, not just in the UK, but around the world, have raised a lot of alarms, have raised queries and questions about the environment that these dating apps breed, like the toxic kind of background that is formed due to these dating apps. Now, okay, this I feel like is especially the case for women. Now, I know you might agree with me. I know you might be like, oh, what is she talking about? But essentially, I feel like dating apps have created a toxic environment for women because women in general, experience a disproportionate amount of harassment and abuse on these platforms according to research, okay? And it's most often from straight men. Surprise, surprise. But to get to the bottom of it, I feel like the toughest part of being a woman that uses dating apps is kind of the harassment, and it's kind of this reputation that comes with it. Everybody thinks that you could be used, like okay, the image rather, according to a few users and a few tweets that I've read of users of social media apps. They say that basically, with regards to these dating apps, people tend to kind of assume that women are okay with being used, and this whole consent debate kind of gets thrown out the window because you being on a dating app, a woman being on a dating app is like inherently consent, which to me is absolutely stupid and absolutely incorrect as well. Now, at the end of the day, what we need to realize is that a lot of users of dating apps have actually reported psychological stress, okay? So there's so many extreme, okay, so to give you a little bit of insight to this whole situation. Now, I wanted to talk about this today, so I kind of like typed in a few articles. I typed in a few things that I wanted to read up about dating apps, and you wouldn't even believe me when I say that I came across the most horrific stories that have been said by women, that have been said by individuals that actually use these dating apps, the terrible situations, the terrible instances, and how people have actually had to go through so much stress, not just physical, but psychological as well. Now, basically, I guess I can boil it down to this one study. I know that sounds really boring, but hang in there because these numbers are going to blow your mind. So in 2017, a study from Pew Research Center, I think, indicated that 36% of online daters actually found their interactions either extremely or very upsetting, which is insane. That's 36% of users of dating apps. So I want to know if you have been in this position, because you could definitely be one of this 36%. You could definitely be somebody that if you use dating apps, you could have been somebody that experienced psychological stress when you used dating apps. So I want to know your experience. If you use dating apps, or if you've used it at any point in your life, what was the experience like? Would you recommend it to other people, or do you think that the pros outweigh the cons, or vice versa? Now, with that being said, again, going back to the conversation that I had, I told you that I do use dating apps myself, and it's just a part and parcel of this day and age that we're living in. But we also need to question the kind of environment or the kind of background and precedent that these dating apps set. And that is definitely one thing that I do want to talk about within the next couple minutes. Now, a lot of people say that there have been a lot of extreme behavior on dating apps, that there have been very intimidating and abusive behavior that has been normalized so quickly because of dating apps, right? Dating apps kind of have given out this ground where a lot of abusive behavior has been normalized, and things that are not normal and should never be normal, like the amount of abuse that happens and the risk of that and the danger of it, not only physical but emotional as well, have been normalized by dating apps, right? Because like I said before, I've experienced this up to a certain extent as well. Like I said, being a person that uses dating apps, I've realized that a lot of people, and I don't want to generalize and say men, but a lot of people assume that an individual using a dating app inherently is consent to being used or whatever. And that, I feel like, is a misconception that follows dating apps, which is absolutely incorrect. And that just shows this toxic environment that dating apps breed, which we definitely need to talk about. So yes, dating apps do have a lot of positives in terms of like connecting with people. I myself have met so many people that I'm so glad to have met because of dating apps. But on the same time, there is so much psychological abuse, stress, physical abuse, stress that goes on as well. I gave you proof to this. I told you how, according to research, 36% of online daters found their interactions extremely upsetting or very, very upsetting, which is absolutely crazy. You could be a part of this 36%. So, we are going to be talking about this for quite some time. I want to talk about the accountability of dating apps. Can we hold individuals that misuse dating apps accountable? Is that even practical? Is that even feasible? Especially because I myself have come across so many like fake accounts on dating apps, which is absolutely scary. It just alleviates my trust issues, and it just sets my trust issues on fire, which I'm sure if you use dating apps, you've definitely come across at a certain point as well. So I want to know what your experience, like I said before, I want to know what your experience with dating apps is like. Is it totally positive, or is it a mix of positive and negative? Go ahead and leave a comment down below. Make sure that you hit that thumbs up button, which will be such an amazing support to me, and I would love to know that you're loving the conversation that we're having, or even if you're not, that's okay. Go ahead and leave a comment and tell me what instead would you love to hear about. Now, when I come back, we're actually going to head on to a little break, but when we come back, I am going to be talking about a few opinions that all of you have shared with regards to dating apps. And I want to say we have a lot of people listening in right now. First of all, a big hello to every single one of you listening in. Secondly, I also want to say, if you have something that could help somebody else, or if you have some opinion that you want to share, do so. Go ahead and share it, because like I said, we have a lot of people listening in. We have a lot of different people listening in, and it could help all of these people. So make sure that you tune in, make sure that you let me know what's going on, because I would absolutely love to hear from you. Now, with that being said, let's head on over to a little break. But when we come back, let's talk about the accountability of dating apps. And, at the end of the day, let's come to a conclusion as to whether dating apps are basically playing us, and if we are, being used by dating apps, and if it's creating this toxic environment. That definitely is something that we will find out when we come back, and a whole lot more. I have a lot more entertainment gossip that I want to share with you as well, so make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relaks Radio.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start and say, well, what do I want my net worth to be? so that there's a goal. And then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account, and then we say, okay, here's a plan. You start like this, that's great. And then we review it all the time. And we say, okay, we need to increase it, we're on track, we're not, this is what is happening. Because remember, when you're dealing with assets, the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million pounds. And they're different, right? They range differently from everyone, but and from country to country, to be fair. Different countries have different tax laws, so different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies, and then you step up into different things. One of the easiest ways to increase your net worth is to ensure that you have higher cash flows. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to not buy things on hire purchase, not buy things over months and months because you can't afford them now, but you want it. It's kind of that delayed gratification. Rather than buy that couch, that car, that stereo, that computer, whatever item, and pay it off over 12, 24, 36 months at an interest rate, rather invest that money, make do with what you've got, and then after 12, 24, 36 months, take the money that you've now invested and buy that good. An asset could be anything that appreciates or reduces a tax bill. So it could still be a liability, but it reduces their tax bill. And I'm not going to go into the technicalities because that's out of our remit here. However, for our use or our purpose, what we are talking for the listeners here is I would put this definition of an asset forward. An asset is anything that increases your income. Anything.
Now, there's a lot of conversation around who pays more taxes, if it is the rich or if it is the poor, right? When you are basically going out and during a day, if you go to a restaurant, you have to pay taxes there. If you buy a car, you have to pay taxes there. So why is it even a conversation that, the rich pay less taxes or the poor pay more taxes? Why is it a conversation like that?
Because it's true, the rich generally pay less tax. A rich person walks into a Tesco's or a Sainsbury's, they're not going to get a different bill than another person, right? They're still going to pay the same VAT on those goods. They're still going to pay the same thing. So that's all the same. However, the differences come in if you can pay yourself from your own company you can structure it in a way that you pay less income tax through paying a bit of salary, paying dividends, and so forth, and then also deferring income. Also, your pension payments or contributions can be different. So that increases your tax sort of gap, if you want to use it that way. Where a PAYE person just gets paid salary and bonus. And now those are the most highly taxed sources of income in the UK, definitely, in the UK.
Hold up. If you wanna go and take a ride with me, better hit me, baby, one more time.
More variety than you can imagine. Relax Radio.
The Chat Trap.
Welcome back to the show. How are you doing? It is Friday. It is the final few hours of Friday, actually, and I'm so excited. I cannot wait for the weekend to come by. God knows that we all deserve a good break, so make sure that you use this Friday to kind of blow off some steam, to just chill and have a good time, okay? Catch up with friends if you could do that. Just make sure to have a good time. Make sure that you just live life, okay? We had a whole conversation about this, but if you missed that conversation, you can always go back and check it out, because we upload all of our live streams on Facebook and other social media as well. So make sure that you check us out on our social media, like I just said. We are there on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok as well, and we are giving you some amazing dance moves, and we're trying to just keep you entertained, okay? We're trying to make you as happy as possible, so make sure that you go check out our social media platforms so that that you know what's going on here, right? So that you know what's happening here at Relaks Radio. And if there's anything that you want to share with us, if there's any, if you did some TikToks that you want to share with us as well, go ahead and send it to us, either by calling us on 07852 or by direct messaging us either on Instagram or sending us an inbox message on Facebook, whatever it is. Go right ahead and feel free to have a conversation with us. We are there for you 24/7, 365. We're there giving you the best of music all day, every day. So make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relaks Radio. Now, with that being said, earlier on, we were having an interesting conversation with regards to dating apps. And oh my goodness, I have had a couple of you text me and leave us comments and text us basically and connect with us and tell us of a few personal experiences with regards to you using social media, but dating apps. So Emily says that Emily. Emily, I'm just gonna say Emily, okay? So Emily says that she did in fact actually experience psychological abuse on Tinder, which is absolutely scary. And Emily, I am so sorry that you had to go through that situation. I don't think nobody deserves to go through something like that. You go on dating apps. The only reason you get on dating apps is so that you can have a good time, so that you can connect with people, maybe get into a relationship, or just have some good old fun. And when things like this happen, things that you absolutely didn't expect and things that shouldn't be happening, it's absolutely scary. And I'm so sorry, Emily, that you had to go through this situation. We also have Samka that's tuning in, and Samka says that they disagree. So Samka says no, dating apps are good, Tinder is good. Well, okay, Samka, that is your opinion. Thank you for sharing it with us. Thank you for letting me know what you think. And yeah, definitely, I agree with you. Dating apps can be amazing, like I said before. Dating apps help people to connect with each other. Dating apps help us to find, and I personally, actually, there's something that I do want to share with you guys. So I have a friend of mine. She's not a very close friend of mine, but she is definitely an acquaintance. And she is married now, I think, for a couple of years, actually. And they're one of the cutest and happiest and, basically one of the most romantic couples, and they did meet on a dating app. And I know every single one of us know at least one couple that is thriving now, that were meant to each other, that ended up meeting online on a dating app specifically. So yes, Samka, I completely agree with you. I completely agree in the sense that there are there are quite a lot of positives in dating apps, and dating apps have actually helped a lot of people in terms of finding love or just having some good old fun. And yeah, I completely agree with you on that basis. But also, I guess I've been trying to give you like the dark side of dating apps, right? I've been trying to show you a different opinion or a different side of dating apps, which we don't discuss too often, which I feel like is blurred over by the media, and it's not something we often talk about, but it's definitely something that I wanted to share with you and bring it up as well. So earlier on, we were talking about the environment or this culture or background that is bred because of dating apps, where this whole consent debate, where especially women or anybody, in fact, if you use a dating app, a specific dating app, it almost it's like suggestive that you're in for like an experience, or you're okay with being used or whatever, if you know what I'm trying to insinuate here, which is absolutely terrible. This kind of toxic background should not be the case in any aspect. Actually, it shouldn't be the case at all, but it is what it is, and it's truly sad in my opinion, and it shouldn't be the case. Now, further moving on, earlier on I told you that if you're just tuning in and you missed the earlier talk segment with regards to dating apps, I just want to give you a little update, because did you know that 36% of online daters found their interactions either extremely or very upsetting? Now, that's 36% of people. You could definitely be a part of this 36%. And yeah, a lot of people say that they have experienced psychological stress and emotional and physical abuse through these dating apps. And also, there's another issue that comes with regards to dating apps, and that is with regards to getting catfished. Now, this is not something I was even aware of. This is not something that I even thought of up until very recently, but there are so many false fake accounts that are made by predators, that are made by individuals with just wrong notions or just wrong ideas and with the wrong intentions. Rather, there are so many false accounts that are created. There are so many catfishing incidences, especially in these online dating accounts. So I think at the end of the day, what's most important is that you be as safe as possible. Just I am on the other side of the spectrum where I have a lot of trust issues, but make sure that you don't trust anybody easily, because salt can even look like sugar. Is that the saying? I know that there's a saying that goes like that, but you can mistake salt, or you can mistake salt for sugar, basically. So make sure that you do your research. Don't fall for anybody too soon. Just make sure that you associate the person in person. It's good to meet people online, but associate the person in person before you make any drastic, life-changing decisions. Now, let's go on to the next part of the conversation with regards to accountability. Are these dating apps accountable? And there are definitely some mechanisms that are put in place to cut down on these problems. So Tinder, for example, has introduced a machine learning to detect abusive messages and languages. So just like TikTok, just like Instagram, if you send something that the app decides or is said to be abusive or whatever, then the writer is asked to reconsider the message before sending it. And in 2020, Bumble also introduced an AI to blur specific messages and require the user's consent to actually view them, which I think is absolutely amazing. This is actually something that's being done to kind of have some sort of accountability when it comes to online dating platforms. Now, a highly specific action is also very required. I know that there are some dating apps where images, basically, authenticity of the images are required to be verified, and that measure is also meant to help prevent catfishing and abuse. Users can't hide behind fake identities in that sense, right? Now, I don't know as to how far this is successful. I don't know if this is successful at all, but I would definitely like to know what you're thinking. Do you think these measures to hold misusers of dating apps, are these measures successful? Is it these measures that are put in place to hold these misusers of dating accounts accountable? Do you think they're successful? What is your opinion? Go right ahead and let me know by calling me up on 07852 473 473, or make sure that you leave a comment down below. I would definitely love to hear you. Thank you for everybody that's been tuning in and letting me know what they're thinking. We have quite a few of you that replied to my previous question, and that's with regards to if you believe dating apps have more pros than cons or vice versa. So thank you so much for being a part of the show. Thank you for sharing your opinions. Even I don't care how different they are. If it's very different to what I'm saying, that's okay, because I definitely want to give people a diverse perspective. So your perspective is definitely valued. So make sure that you leave a comment down below. Make sure that you connect with us. Make sure that you download our app so that you can take us with you wherever that you go. Now, with that being said, I'm going to head on over to a little break. When I come back, we are going to have a lot more interesting things to talk about. So make sure that you keep tuned right here on Relaks Radio.
Now, there's a lot of conversation around who pays more taxes, if it is the rich or if it is the poor, right? When you are basically going out and during a day, you go to a restaurant, you have to pay taxes there. If you buy a car, you have to pay taxes there. So why is it even a conversation that the rich pay less taxes or the poor pay more taxes? Why is it a conversation like that?
Because it's true, the rich generally pay less tax. A rich person walks into a Tesco's or a Sainsbury's, they're not going to get a different bill than another person, right? They're still going to pay the same VAT on those goods, they're still going to pay the same thing. So that's all the same. However, the differences come in if you can pay yourself from your own company, you can structure it in a way that you pay less income tax through paying a bit of salary, paying dividends and so forth, and then also deferring income. Also, your pension payments or contributions can be different. So that increases your tax sort of gap, if you want to use it that way. Where a PAYE person just gets paid salary and bonus. And now those are the most highly taxed sources of income in the UK, definitely, in the UK. We've seen it, right? If an owner of a large public traded company does something wrong, irrelevant of what that company does or how valuable that company is, the stock generally falls into a pool of nothing, right? Because in a public company where the stock is traded openly on the stock exchange, the value of that stock is driven by supply and demand, it's driven by emotion, it's driven by news, it's driven by quite a lot of variables over and above the actual accounting or total net worth of that company. I mean, we've seen it, right? If an owner of a large public traded company does something wrong, irrelevant of what that company does or how valuable that company is, the stock generally falls into a pool of nothing, right? And the company may still have value, it may still be doing quite a good things.
The Chat Trap.
Welcome back to the show. How are you guys doing? Hope you are having a yourself an amazing evening so far. We've had such amazing conversation actually. We've been talking about a lot of different things. But right now, what I do want to talk to you about is dating apps. And we've had so many people actually text in their opinions. Like I said before, we got Samka, I hope I'm saying your name right, but Samka shares their opinion. We have a few others that are commenting and sharing their opinion as well. And I definitely want to know what you're thinking, because things like dating apps, I feel like is something that all of us have experienced, and all of us have our own personal opinion and personal experiences. So go right ahead, feel free to connect with me, feel free to share your opinions with me, because I don't know, I feel like this is a platform where you can use it to kind of connect with people. And we have so many different people listening in on a plethora of different platforms on social media, on our website, on our app, and you sharing your opinion can actually help somebody else. So use this as a chance to actually speak up. Use this as a chance to voice out your opinions and let me know what you are thinking. Now, before we go on into the second part of the conversation, I do want to talk to you about how you can get on board the show. Okay, you can do that by calling us on 07852473473, or by simply checking us out on social media. Go right ahead and show some love on our social media. That is Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. We are trying, okay? We are trying really hard to give you something where you'll be entertained, something that you like. So make sure that you go show us some love. And if there's if you have any videos that you want to share with us, maybe if you did a TikTok that you think we'd like to see, because we love to see your work all day, every day. So go right ahead. Feel free to share it with us on our social media by sending us an inbox message, or by connecting with us on any platform actually, because we are there for you 24/7, 365. Now, with that being said, let's get back into the conversation with regards to dating apps. And I told you of a few personal experiences that were shared with people that were tuning in. We had some say that they did have a lot of abuse that they experienced using dating apps, but we also had a few say that they don't agree that dating apps are good. Again, I want to say my personal experience, I kind of agree with both sides. I do think that dating apps are amazing, especially with regards to like the lockdown period. I genuinely would have gone crazy not being able to meet people, not being able to party. I feel like things like Tinder, Bumble, Grindr, whatever it is, all of these dating apps have helped us to kind of just like chill and connect with people and find people to talk to, basically. So on that terms rather, I feel like dating apps have a lot of pros. But what I do want to talk about is also the cons of dating apps, okay? The dark side of dating apps. We've been having a few discussions so far. It is something that's not quite often spoken up about. It is not something that I feel like it's kind of blurred over, especially by media and especially by social media. The dark side of dating apps is not something that is publicized. It's not something that's spoken of, basically, but it's definitely something that I do want to talk to you about, because safety is important in any aspect. Now, I myself, being a user, I have used certain dating apps, and I told you my personal experience in terms of coming across a lot of fake accounts where the users are basically, catfishing incidents, which is absolutely scary. So my advice to you is, like everything, like every concept out there, like social media, like basically anything, there's definitely a good side and a bad side. There's definitely pros and cons. So what I want you to do is to be as mindful as possible when you're using dating apps specifically, okay? Make sure that before you make some like crazy decision, make sure that you meet the person in person, if that's a possibility. Just make rational decisions and don't jump into anything, because we've had about 36%, according to research, about 36% of online daters apparently found their interactions either extremely or very upsetting. Now, you could be a part of this 36% of individuals or users of dating apps that have had a terrible experience using dating apps, but I personally know a lot of people, a lot of couples actually, that have found each other thanks to dating apps. So yeah, it goes back to my conclusion that dating apps can be both good and bad, depending on who you ask and depending on how you use it. So one thing I want to remind you is currently with regards to like accountability, with regards to most of the dating apps having accountability, there is a lot of measures that have been introduced. I spoke to you about this earlier on, but yeah, basically we have Tinder, for instance, that have introduced a machine learning to detect abusive messages and languages. For example, I think it was last year, I'm not exactly sure, but I think in 2020, Bumble introduced like this AI system to blur specific images and require user consent to read them, like I told you before. Which is amazing measures, which is at least something that is put in place to kind of protect people from abusive messages and psychological trauma or whatever. But at the end of the day, just be as safe as possible. Like I told you before, just be mindful when you use when you use dating apps, well, and social media as well. And just know that there are a lot of measures, but the screening measures that are put in place by dating apps is not sufficient. Okay, so it's all up to you. Just make sure to be as safe as possible. It's like the Wild West. You gotta be safe. You can get good things out of it as long as you are mindful and as long as you are rational. So yeah, all of this sounds very dramatic, I know, but it's important to kind of educate, especially the younger generation, so that we won't have so many people that are falling into trouble because of dating apps. Like I told you, I am all for dating apps, but I do believe, and I'm a person that have experienced it myself, I do believe that dating apps kind of have this tendency to have an environment, create a toxic environment where, especially with regards to women or any user actually, this whole debate of consent, like when you use a dating app, it inherently means consent, right? If you use dating apps, you know what I'm trying to insinuate here, which is absolutely crazy. It shouldn't be the case. And I think the only way that we can get rid of this whole toxic environment or this whole toxic precedent that is set by dating apps is by educating people with regards to respect. I feel like it's definitely something that we need in our society today, not just with regards to dating apps, but with regards to everything. Okay, let's learn to respect each other despite our different opinions, despite having different viewpoints. Let's understand that respect is most important. So yeah, even if you have children or if you interact with the younger generation, teach respect to people. And if you have adults that don't understand respect as well, make sure that you impart that message of respecting people. I think the most important thing in today's generation, no matter what app you use, no matter what kind of social media you use, you need to learn to respect people, learn to respect other people's opinions and thoughts, and value other people's existence. Now, with that being said, I definitely want to know what you're thinking. We've been talking about dating. We've had such amazing conversation with regards to dating apps, and I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know your stance with regards to this. First of all, I want to say a big thank you going out to every single one of you that have been commenting so far, that have been a part of the show. It's definitely such a pleasure to have you on board. Now, with that being said, we're going to head on over to a little break, but when we come back, we are going to have a lot of entertaining gossip to talk about. So make sure that you stick around and make sure that you keep it right here on Relaks Radio.
One of the easiest ways to increase your net worth is to ensure that you have higher cash flows. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to not buy things on hire purchase, not buy things over months and months because you can't afford them now, but you want it. It's kind of that delayed gratification. Rather than buy that couch, that car, that stereo, that computer, whatever item, and pay it off over 12, 24, 36 months at an interest rate, rather invest that money, make do with what you've got, and then after 12, 24, 36 months, take the money that you've now invested and buy that good. An asset could be anything that appreciates or reduces a tax bill. So it could still be a liability, but it reduces their tax bill. And I'm not going to go into the technicalities because that's out of our remit here. However, for our use or our purpose, what we are talking for the listeners here is I would put this definition of an asset forward. An asset is anything that increases your income. Anything.
Now, there's a lot of conversation around who pays more taxes, if it is the rich or if it is the poor, right? When you are basically going out and during a day, if you go to a restaurant, you have to pay taxes there. If you buy a car, you have to pay taxes there. So why is it even a conversation that, the rich pay less taxes or the poor pay more taxes? Why is it a conversation like that?
Because it's true, the rich generally pay less tax. A rich person walks into a Tesco's or a Sainsbury's, they're not going to get a different bill than another person, right? They're still going to pay the same VAT on those goods. They're still going to pay the same thing. So that's all the same. However, the differences come in if you can pay yourself from your own company, you can structure it in a way that you pay less income tax through paying a bit of salary, paying dividends and so forth, and then also deferring income. Also, your pension payments or contributions can be different. So that increases your tax sort of gap, if you want to use it that way. Where a PAYE person just gets paid salary and bonus. And now those are the most highly taxed sources of income in the UK, definitely, in the UK.
Again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. Why did you reject my son? Well, I haven't rejected your son.
I want to talk about, how the generation gap, how much has changed, especially when you check the youth nowadays in comparison, to people back in the day.
I'd say when I was younger, it was more disciplined. Not now.
In comparison to now.
Not at all. Not now. The way things are nowadays, the younger generation, you seem that they can't accept the word no. If that makes sense. They can't
accept rejection, essentially, is all you're trying to say.
Yeah, they can't accept the word no. So if you how did I do? Well, you didn't do very well. And they get upset. And when I was a youngster, my father used to say to me, because I used to be sport mad when I was very young, well, I still am sport mad, but like participating in different sports. And if I had a bad game, for example, I'd say to me, "You had one to forget." That's it.
Yeah, that sounds like a smart guy. I mean, yeah, that's the real fact of the matter, yeah.
He'd say to me, "You had one to forget. Get over it." And that was it. So I'd dust myself down and do it again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. Why did you reject my son? Well, I haven't rejected your son. Or daughter. I've just told them that they need to buck their ideas up.
That's the truth right there. I mean, if you think about it, if you check the generations, like right now in the US as well, I've seen a lot of these things as well. In the UK, you get medals for participation. But what's the point? What are you trying to? Yeah, what's the point? Either you win or you lose. People are so afraid to put that whole notion of losing. When it comes to right now, the generation gap is just crazy. How much a lot has changed. Social media has taken control of our lives, and we don't even realize it anymore. We're crippled because of it.
That's absolutely right, Nick. Because, as you said, nowadays it seems that you get rewarded for failure. For the life of me, Nick, I can't get my head around that. Perhaps I'm just getting old and morbid. I don't know. I just can't get my head around how you could be rewarded for failure.
One of the easiest ways to increase your net worth is to ensure that you have higher cash flows. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to not buy things on hire purchase, not buy things over months and months because you can't afford them now, but you want it. It's kind of that delayed gratification. Rather than buy that couch, that car, that stereo, that computer, whatever item, and pay it off over 12, 24, 36 months at an interest rate, rather invest that money, make do with what you've got, and then after 12, 24, 36 months, take the money that you've now invested and buy that good. An asset could be anything that appreciates or reduces a tax bill. So it could still be a liability, but it reduces their tax bill. And I'm not going to go into the technicalities because that's out of our remit here. However, for our use or our purpose, what we are talking for the listeners here is I would put this definition of an asset forward. An asset is anything that increases your income. Anything.
Now, there's a lot of conversation around who pays more taxes, if it is the rich or if it is the poor, right? When you are basically going out and during a day, if you go to a restaurant, you have to pay taxes there. If you buy a car, you have to pay taxes there. So why is it even a conversation that, the rich pay less taxes or the poor pay more taxes? Why is it a conversation like that?
Because it's true, the rich generally pay less tax. A rich person walks into a Tesco's or a Sainsbury's, they're not going to get a different bill than another person, right? They're still going to pay the same VAT on those goods. They're still going to pay the same thing. So that's all the same. However, the differences come in if you can pay yourself from your own company, you can structure it in a way that you pay less income tax through paying a bit of salary, paying dividends, and so forth, and then also deferring income. Also, your pension payments or contributions can be different. So that increases your tax sort of gap, if that, if you want to use it that way. Where a PAYE person just gets paid salary and bonus. And now those are the most highly taxed sources of income in the UK, definitely, in the UK.
Trap. Welcome back to the show. That is right. This is, of course, the Chat Trap on Relaks Radio. How are you doing? How is your evening going by so far? It is, of course, Friday, which means tomorrow is Saturday, and it's the weekend finally, y'all. And I'm super excited because God knows that we deserve a break. We deserve to, just chill for a little bit, have some time to refocus, and just to have some fun, okay? So I want to say thank you so much to every single one of you that have been tuning in so far. It's definitely such a pleasure to have you on board. So make sure that if you have something that you want to share with me, if you have something that you want to say, with regards to your weekend plans or with regards to whatever we've been talking about, go right ahead and call me up on 07852 473 473, or make sure that you leave a comment down below. Now, with that being said, we've been talking about dating apps, and I feel like that was a very interesting conversation because I kind of forced all of you to see a side of dating apps that isn't frequently spoken of, but I thought was absolutely important. So, first of all, thank you so much for being so cooperative, for joining in, for tuning in, and letting me know what you think of dating apps. Thank you for sharing your personal experiences. We had a couple of you that did actually share your personal experiences. So, honestly, thank you so much for that. If you did have a traumatic experience on a dating app, or in general, any traumatic experience, I want to say I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. You definitely did not deserve it, and I'm sorry that you experienced that. But like we spoke about earlier on, it's important to kind of look for happiness even in the darkest of times. And as crazy and as insensitive as that may sound, I feel like it's super important, especially with times we're living in, it's important to choose to be happy. Right? Now, for the longest time, this is so weird, but for the longest time, I actually assumed that happiness is something that you can buy. Like, okay, for example, the only reason people are happy is because they have the most luxurious things, is because they have a good relationship with, their partner, is because they live in a mansion, and these are all factors that I kind of attributed to happiness. But I've kind of come to realize, and I've spoken about this before as well, I've kind of come to realize that happiness has nothing to do with any of that. You can have absolutely nothing and still be happy, because happiness is not, or joyfulness or just positivity is not something that you get automatically. It's something that you choose to be. You choose to be happy. You choose to be positive. You choose to be joy. So what I want to remind you is, no matter how dark the times may seem, no matter how terrible the times may seem, please do try to find the light during these dark times, okay? Never waste a day without happiness. If you have found yourself at crappy situations in life, I want you to remember to switch on the light, okay? Life, I feel like, is passing day by day, and a lot of us are just passing life, like we're passing life without actually living it. Now, what I want you to try to do is to live every moment, to savor every moment, because I don't know, one thing that I realized with this whole COVID-19 situation, one thing that I've come to realize is that life can be super unfair. Life can be hella unfair, but at the end of the day, what makes it fair is that it's unfair to everybody. No matter how rich you are, no matter how poor you are going to face some sort of obstacle. You are going to face some sort of unfairness, and that, I guess, is how life kind of levels the playing field. So instead of complaining, what I want you to try to do is to find positivity in dark times. Again, I know it's so much easier said than done, but it's just something that you try to do, okay? So just try to be as positive as possible. Remember to turn on the switch of happiness, and we are definitely going to help you do that here at Relax Radio. I also want to remind you that one happiness moment or one happy moment definitely leads to more happiness. Okay, happiness leads to happiness basically, and sadness leads to sadness. So it also goes back to the people you associate, the kind of mindset you have. So use your mind, use the power of your mind to choose to be happy, and remember that what you are inside is what is going to form later on in the day. So basically, if you always think of negative things, if you always think of the worst case scenario, that essentially is what's going to happen. So use the power of your mind to build happiness. As trivial as that sounds, use the power of your mind to choose happiness, because my goal for you is for you to live life every single day, for you to savor every moment, and for you to be as happy as possible. So just create happiness by making others happy. That I found is yet another way to be as happy as possible. Okay, be happy by helping other people to be happy, because when you're kind to other people, you're not just being kind to yourself, but you're also being kind to somebody else. We've always been taught that being kind is something that you should do for somebody else, right? But being kind to other people can also be something selfish you do for yourself, because when you're kind to somebody else, your kind of satisfaction is absolutely insane. The satisfaction that you have is absolutely insane. So be kind, do good, and be as happy as possible, and make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. Now, with that being said, we're going to head on over to a little break, but when we come back, we also do have a lot of interesting right here on Relax Radio.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start and say, well, what do I want my net worth to be? so that there's a goal. And then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account, and then we say, okay, here's a plan. You start like this, that's great. And then we review it all the time. And we say, okay, we need to increase it, we're on track, we're not, this is what is happening. Because remember, when you're dealing with assets, the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million pounds. And they're different, right? They range differently from everyone, but and from country to country, to be fair. Different countries have different tax laws, so different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies, and then you step up into different things.
Mount Everest. That is one of that's in my bucket list. You're laughing, but that is the facts right there. I'd love to do that. That is something I'm looking forward to do, hopefully.
Climb Everest.
Mount Everest. I mean, okay, not the very tip of Mount Everest, maybe the base camp at least.
You're talking about mental health. Well, if you went out and got some exercise in the fresh air, that would improve your mental health. It will make you feel better.
That's true. That is true. I wholeheartedly agree. But then for some people, it's how do you find the motivation to, especially when it comes to riding a bicycle, to do it again and again and again and again? It's a cycle that you have to be used to. How do you do it? What makes you wake up in the morning and decide, hey, I'm going to pick my bike up today. I'm going to cycle. What makes you want to do that?
What makes me want to do that?
Yeah. What do you like? What could you give listeners, like people listening in right now? What kind of tip could you give them?
Well, the first tip I would give them, if you haven't tried it before, try it. It can open up new horizons. It will make you fitter. It will definitely make you fitter. Cycling is one of the best forms of aerobic exercise you can do.
It sounds like, if you think about it, it sounds like great fun. Because what essentially you're trying to say is also at the same time, when you, if you look at it from this perspective, with regards to mental health, especially when you look at it with mental health, this is another way to fight it. I feel like you go outside, you meet more people, you interact with, socially, you'll interact with more people, and you're keeping fit, you're making connections, you're breathing in the good and exhaling the bad. I feel like that's a great thing right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got a better way with words than I have, I'll tell you. But you're quite right. What you say there. You're quite right.
I've been doing this for quite some time. Hey, you'll get the hang of it.
I've been doing it for about 10 minutes now, so yeah.
That I can never really understand people staying in one room the whole day when you can have the world to see. I am a traveler. I travel. I love traveling. Traveling is just one of the things I do. And on top of my bucket list was, to one time, hopefully when I get there, go to Nepal and climb Mount Everest. That is one of that's in my bucket list. You're laughing, but that is the facts right there. I'd love to do that. That is something I'm looking forward to do, hopefully.
Climb Everest.
Mount Everest. I mean, okay, not the very tip of Mount Everest, maybe the base camp at least.
Base camp, yeah.
At least.
Would you be able to cycle there?
Oh.
The Chat Trap.
Welcome back to the show. How is everybody doing? This is, of course, the Chat Up on Relax Radio on a beautiful, beautiful day. It's almost the end of Friday, and I just want to say, you got through another week, so you need to give yourself a pat on the back for getting through this week. It couldn't have been easy, but you definitely did it. You did whatever it took to, be as happy as possible to just get through this week, and you definitely deserve some praise for that. So good job on getting ahead of this week. Good job on trying your best to become the best version of yourself this week. So kudos to you for that. Make sure that you use the Saturday and Sunday to kind of refocus, to get back into to refocus your life goals, to refocus your life in general. And I also want to remind you to be a part of the show. Make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. We are giving you the best of content. We talk about a lot of different things, from politics to entertainment and a whole lot of things. So make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. You could always call me on 07852473473, or make sure that you leave a comment down below. Connect with us. We love to hear from you. We would absolutely love to hear from you. So please do connect with us. Let us know what's going on. And with that being said, I also want to remind you I want to give you some entertainment related news that I got super excited when I saw, because if you were a fan of ABBA, or if you're a fan of this legendary group, you are going to be excited as well, because ABBA Gold reaches record-breaking 1,000 weeks in UK album chart. Now, ABBA's greatest hits compilation, Gold, has become the first record to spend 1,000 weeks in UK's album chart. Okay, so it's released in 1992. The record is the second biggest seller of all time in the UK, with sales of 5.61 million, which is only behind the Queen's greatest hits. So now it featuring basically the Swedish band's biggest songs, The Dancing Queen, Mamma Mia, and Waterloo. It has now spent a total of 19 years and 12 weeks on the top 100. That to me is insane. This song came back so long ago, back in 1992. And the fact that it's still some of the most popular tracks is just, I don't know, it's just proof to how amazing the band is and how amazing their music is. Now, with that being said, it's the group's biggest selling record, eclipsing studio albums like Boulez, Arrival, which both reached number one in 1970s. Now, the compilation was put together when the band's career was being reappraised by critics. So it was preceded by the early 1992 Erasure's ABBA-esque EP, which saw the synth-pop band cover 4 songs, if I'm not mistaken, including Lay All Your Love on Me and SOS. So the EP basically charted throughout Europe and United States, and it reached number 1 in the UK and Sweden, signaling the last appeal of ABBA's music in the 10 years after they broke up. So, however, their greatest hit albums were all out of print at the same time, leading to Polygram to issue basically a new compilation, right? And it was released that September, and ABBA Gold has been launched as a perfectly curated album in its own right. And Pitchfork recently actually did called it the definitive example of the greatest hits format, which rounded up all of the Swedish pop band's international smashes into a refined package with surprising emotional range. So the album led to a resurgence of interest in the band, culminating the hit stage show Mamma Mia, which spawned 2 films starring Amanda Seyfried, Lily James, Pierce Brosnan, and of course, the legend herself, Meryl Streep, who happens to be one of my favorite actors of all time. So yeah, that's just some good news to you. That's just so much good that is happening. you know, ABBA just have done great things, and it's good to know that ABBA Gold has actually reached its record-breaking 1,000 weeks in a UK album chart. That just goes to show, like I said before, just how amazing their music is. So I want to say a big thank you going out to every single one of you that have been a part of the show so far. It is about that time that I head on out of here. It's about that time where I head on out of here, but don't worry, because we got Kyle coming up next, and he is going to keep you very good company, and he's going to make sure that you are as informed, entertained, and inspired as possible. So make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. If you're just about to go to sleep and you want some good conversation, Kyle is the man to listen to, because he will keep you company for sure. So make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. I want you to be a part of the show. Call us up on 078 52473 Make sure that you show us some love. Make sure that you connect with us. Just let us know what's going on. We are always here for you. So head on over to our social media platforms, and just feel free to have a conversation if you want to talk about something. If you want to just hang out with us, we are always there for you. With that being said, I am out of here, but I will catch you on Monday with some very interesting conversation. But tomorrow and day after, we have some very interesting shows lined up for you here at Relax Radio. So make sure that you get on both the shows. Make sure that you are a part of everything that is happening. With that being said, it's your girl Jaimmy signing out. Much love and have an amazing